couldn't get pregnant. Not naturally, not normally. What I do know is this. When Beyonce got on that stage with that fake baby bump.
Blue don't have Beyonce nothing. She's just light-skinned. I always thought it was kind of weird how she did resemble Jay-Z to a certain extent. But no, that girl is starting to look like Kathy to me. The eyes, the cheekbones, the jawline, the speltness of her thin. See, I know you know what happened, Corey.
This is one of those moments where hip-hop history coughs up a secret it swore would stay buried. Because when 50 Cent opens his mouth, it's never by accident, never without timing, and never without collateral damage. And this time, the name he allegedly dropped didn't just shake the internet. It rattled one of the most carefully protected legacies in music. Jay-Z isn't just a rapper. He's a brand, a billionaire blueprint. A cultural institution wrapped in luxury suits and untouchable mystique. And now, according to 50 Cent, there's an alleged secret chapter in that story the public was never meant to read. A daughter, a name, a past that refuses to stay silent. This wasn't whispered in a blog comment. It wasn't leaked by a random account. It came from one of the most calculated trolls in entertainment history, a man who has made an entire career out of poking giants and watching them flinch. And the internet reacted exactly how you'd expect. Shock, denial, memes, conspiracy. Threads moving faster than lawyers on retainer. Because when a rumor survives decades and suddenly gets oxygen from someone like 50 Cent, people don't ask if it's messy. They ask why now. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why this revelation hit harder than a surprise album drop. And why nobody involved looks comfortable tonight. The thing about hip-hop rumors is that they don't die. They hibernate. They sit quietly in industry whispers, old blog posts, and half-deleted forum threads, waiting for the perfect moment to wake up and cause maximum damage. And when 50 Cent allegedly decided to reopen the conversation about Jay-Z's rumored secret daughter, it wasn't random, it was strategic. Because nothing rattles an untouchable legacy faster than an old secret suddenly getting a new voice. Jay-Z isn't just a man in hip-hop. He's an institution. A billionaire blueprint wrapped in prestige, power, and carefully curated silence. His brand is control. His image is precision. His legacy is built on the idea that every move is calculated 3 steps ahead. So when a figure like 50 Cent casually drops an alleged bombshell tied to something as personal and explosive as a secret child, it doesn't land like gossip. It lands like a challenge. What makes this moment dangerous isn't the rumor itself. The rumor has existed for years. What makes it dangerous is who allegedly revived it and how. 50 Cent has never been subtle, but he's also never careless. He understands timing better than most executives. And when he hints, suggests, or outright names something controversial, it's usually because he knows it'll spread faster than any denial can catch up. According to resurfaced claims, the alleged daughter is tied to Kathy White, a name that has floated around the edges of Jay-Z conspiracy circles for over a decade. Back then, the internet was smaller, quieter, and easier to control. Stories could be buried. Threads could disappear. Now, everything comes back with screenshots, archives, and reaction videos within minutes. The digital graveyard has receipts. When 50 Cent allegedly referenced the claim again, the reaction was immediate. Social media didn't ask for proof. It asked for context. Because if this story were completely baseless, the industry would have crushed it years ago. Instead, it lingered, quietly, uncomfortably, like something nobody wanted to acknowledge but nobody fully denied. Either. Fans instantly split into camps. One side called it clout chasing, accusing 50 Cent of stirring controversy for attention. The other side pointed out that 50 Cent doesn't need attention. He manufactures it, and that distinction matters. Because people who chase clout talk loudly and vaguely. People who control narratives drop names and walk away. What raised eyebrows was how calm the alleged drop felt. No long rant. No emotional outburst. Just a casual reference. almost like reminding the room of something it pretended to forget. That's when speculation escalated from rumor to reckoning. Because silence from the other side can sometimes speak louder than any denial. Jay-Z's camp didn't immediately respond. No aggressive statements, no dramatic shutdown, just quiet. And in internet culture, quiet doesn't read as confidence. It reads as calculation. Fans began dissecting old interviews, lyrics, and public timelines like they were studying a cold case. Lines once dismissed as metaphor were suddenly treated like clues. Coincidence became evidence. Lyrics became alleged foreshadowing. The idea that a man so obsessed with legacy and lineage could have a hidden chapter was irresistible to the public, because it humanizes the myth while simultaneously threatening it. Jay-Z's entire persona is built on transparency through storytelling. He's told the world about his mistakes, his infidelities, his struggles, his growth, which raises the uncomfortable question. If he's told us everything, why would this story still exist? That's where the tension thickens. Supporters argue that rumors persist because people want icons to fall. Critics counter that some stories survive because they were never fully addressed. And the alleged Kathy White connection sits right in. That uncomfortable middle space, not confirmed, not erased. Just lingering. 50 Cent knows exactly how to weaponize that ambiguity. He doesn't have to prove anything. He just has to remind people the rumor exists. The internet does the rest. Reaction channels explode. Comment sections turn into debate arenas. Memes transform serious allegations into viral punchlines. And suddenly, a billionaire brand is trending alongside words like secret, hidden, and alleged. What makes this particularly explosive is the family angle. Jay-Z's public image as a father is tightly woven into his redemption arc, growth, accountability, legacy. A secret child narrative doesn't just challenge gossip, it challenges character. And that's why fans reacted so intensely. Because this isn't about money. It's about identity. Meanwhile, 50 Cent stayed quiet after the initial stir. No clarification, no walk back, no follow-up explanation. That silence felt intentional. Almost like he knew the conversation would spiral without him lifting another finger. And it did. Industry insiders began whispering anonymously, claiming, "This was one of those stories everyone heard but nobody touched." Bloggers resurfaced old posts. Archived screenshots reappeared. Dates were compared. Timelines overlapped. The internet did what it does best when given a spark. It turned speculation into obsession. And through it all, Jay-Z's silence remained. No public acknowledgement. No outright denial. Just distance. Which only fueled the narrative further. Because when a rumor refuses to die and the subject refuses to address it, people start filling the gaps themselves. The scariest part of this situation isn't whether the allegation is true. It's what happens to a legacy when doubt enters the chat. Once the idea of a hidden truth takes root, it doesn't need confirmation to cause damage. It just needs curiosity. 50 Cent didn't just drop a name. He allegedly reopened a door the industry worked hard to keep closed. And once that door cracks, everyone starts peeking inside. Once the rumor resurfaced, it didn't just trend. It metastasized. The internet didn't treat it like gossip anymore. It treated it like a cold case that suddenly got reopened because someone important cleared their throat. What 50 Cent allegedly triggered wasn't a debate, it was a digital investigation fueled by curiosity, skepticism, and the internet's favorite pastime, tearing down untouchable myths. The memes arrived first, because memes are the internet's emotional coping mechanism. Jay-Z photos were suddenly paired with captions like "Legacy Update Pending" and "Chapter They Didn't Teach in Business School." Harsh? Absolutely. But memes don't ask for permission. They thrive on shock, and this rumor had enough. Shock value to power the algorithm for weeks. Then came the timelines. Fans began stitching together years of interviews, lyrics, and public appearances like they were assembling a conspiracy corkboard. Lyrics once dismissed as poetic exaggeration were suddenly treated like coded confessions. Lines about secrets, guilt, and responsibility were replayed with new emphasis. Was it foreshadowing? Was it coincidence? Or was it just the internet doing What it always does, finding meaning where ambiguity exists. What escalated everything was how other celebrities reacted without reacting. No one came out swinging. No one issued direct statements. Instead, there were cryptic tweets. Strategic. Likes. Vague posts about truth always resurfacing and protecting your legacy. Nothing direct, but nothing accidental either. And in celebrity culture, subtweets are often louder than press releases. Some artists laughed it off publicly, framing the rumor as ridiculous. Others stayed suspiciously quiet. That silence created space for speculation to grow unchecked. Because if this was completely absurd, people expected a stronger shutdown. Instead, the response felt cautious. That's when public outrage split. Again, one group accused 50 Cent of reckless provocation, arguing that dragging unverified family claims into public discourse crosses a line. Another group countered that power protects secrets, and that discomfort isn't the same thing as injustice. The debate wasn't just about Jay-Z anymore. It became about who gets shielded from rumors and who doesn't. And let's be honest. If this claim had involved a smaller artist, it wouldn't have lasted a day. It would have been mocked into irrelevance. The fact that it stuck says more about Jay-Z's stature than the rumor itself. People don't question nobodies. They question kings. 50 Cent, meanwhile, leaned back and watched the fire spread. He didn't clarify. He didn't escalate directly. He let the internet do the work for him, which is arguably his greatest talent. He understands that once curiosity takes hold, denial rarely stops it. In fact, denial sometimes feeds it. So instead of shouting, he let silence become his amplifier. Pop culture commentators began, drawing comparisons to other long-running celebrity rumors that lingered for decades before being quietly confirmed or reframed. The internet loves patterns, and suddenly this story felt familiar. Not proven, but familiar enough to keep people watching. Then came the moral debates. Fans started arguing whether anyone even deserves to know something so personal. Does public success automatically erase privacy? Does being a billionaire public figure mean every rumor deserves daylight? Or does silence sometimes protect innocent people from unnecessary harm? These questions turned comment sections into battlegrounds, each side convinced they were defending truth. But the more philosophical the arguments became, the more the original claim refused to disappear. The alleged Kathy White connection resurfaced heavily during this phase. Old blog posts that once lived in obscurity were suddenly screenshot, archived, and analyzed. Dates were scrutinized. Names were cross-checked. Every inconsistency was magnified. Every unanswered question was treated like a missing puzzle piece. What made this phase especially volatile was how the rumor collided with Jay-Z's carefully cultivated narrative of growth and accountability. He's publicly owned past mistakes. He's built an image around evolution. And that transparency ironically raised the stakes. Because when someone is known for telling their truth, people assume silence means there's something left unsaid. Meanwhile, brands, platforms, and media outlets danced carefully around the story. Headlines were worded with surgical precision. Words like alleged, claims, and resurfaced rumors did a lot of heavy lifting. Nobody wanted to be the one sued, but nobody wanted to ignore the traffic either. Controversy is profitable, even when it's uncomfortable. Reaction videos flooded timelines. Some creators treated the story like a joke. Others approached it with investigative seriousness. Some pretended neutrality while clearly leaning into the shock. Everyone wanted a piece of the moment. And every new take added another layer to the chaos. J-Z single quotes S continued silence became the loudest sound in the room. No tweet. No interview, no subtle denial, just distance. And distance in the age of constant access reads like strategy. Fans debated whether legal counsel advised silence or whether ignoring it would starve the rumor. Instead, the opposite happened. Silence became fuel. What really shifted the tone was when people started asking what happens if the rumor is false. Because even untrue allegations can cause permanent damage. Legacy isn't just about truth, it's about perception. And once doubt creeps in, it doesn't need proof to linger. It just needs repetition. At this point, the story stopped being about one alleged claim and became a reflection of how fame magnifies everything. Truth, lies, silence, reactions, all of it gets distorted under the spotlight. And Jay-Z, whether fairly or unfairly, was now at the center of a narrative he didn't control. And just when it seemed like the conversation couldn't get any louder, a new question started trending beneath all the noise. By the time the conversation began slowing down, the damage was already done. Not explosive damage, not headline-ending catastrophe, but the kind that settles into a legacy like a hairline crack in marble. Barely visible at first. Impossible to ignore once you know it's there. That's the kind of impact this alleged revelation carried. It didn't topple Jay-Z's empire. It made people stare at it differently. Reputation doesn't collapse all at once when you reach that level. It erodes, slowly, quietly, through questions instead of accusations. And the most dangerous question isn't, is it true? It's, why won't it go away? Jay-Z's public image has always been carefully layered. Street hustler turned mogul. Flawed man turned reflective husband. Father, mentor, architect of generational wealth. His story works because it feels complete, which is exactly why an alleged missing chapter hit so hard. Not because it was proven, but because it suggested incompleteness. And incompleteness makes people uneasy. Fans began reassessing everything. Not aggressively, not angrily, but thoughtfully. And that's worse. When outrage fades, curiosity remains. People started asking whether silence was the right move or whether addressing the rumor head-on would have shut it down faster. Others argued that dignifying unproven claims only feeds them. The truth is, there's no perfect response once a story like this reaches critical mass. Behind the scenes, industry analysts quietly acknowledged what couldn't be said publicly. Even unverified rumors can affect brand calculus. Partnerships don't vanish, but they get reviewed. Endorsements don't drop, but conversations change tone. Risk assessments evolve. When a name trends alongside words like secret and alleged, it introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty makes corporations nervous. Meanwhile, 50 Cent never returned to clarify or expand. And that silence was just as calculated as the initial spark. He understands something most people don't. In the attention economy, explanation is optional. Impact isn't. By saying less, he allowed others to say everything. He didn't need to win an argument.
He just needed to start one. Some accused him of irresponsibility.
Others praised him for exposing how protected certain figures are, but even critics had to admit one thing. He forced a conversation nobody wanted to have. And once conversations begin, they don't rewind. The alleged Kathy White connection became less about specifics and more about symbolism. It represented the idea that power can delay truth, but not erase curiosity. Whether the claim is factual or not almost became secondary to what it revealed about celebrity culture. That even the most controlled narratives aren't immune to speculation. That even billionaires can't fully silence the internet. Jay-Z's continued lack of response kept the story in limbo. No closure, no confirmation. No denial, just distance. And distance leaves room for imagination. Fans debated whether this was dignified restraint or strategic avoidance. Critics framed it as arrogance. Supporters called it wisdom. The truth probably sits somewhere in between. What changed most noticeably was how people talked about legacy. Legacy isn't just about achievements. It's about perception over time. And this moment reminded everyone that legacies aren't frozen. They're living narratives constantly being rewritten by new information, real or alleged. A single unresolved question can echo louder than 1,000 accomplishments. Pop culture moved on, as it always does, but not without leaving residue. New scandals replaced this one. New names trended. New controversies exploded. But every time Jay-Z's name surfaced, there was a slight pause. A footnote in the comment sections. A reminder that the rumor existed. And that's how stories survive. Not in headlines, but in memory. Some fans hoped Jay-Z would address it in music, turning speculation into art the way he's done before. Others believed silence was permanent. Either way, the moment passed without resolution, which in many ways made it more powerful. Unanswered questions don't expire. They linger. As for the industry, This episode reinforced an uncomfortable reality. No one is too big for curiosity. Power can manage narratives, but it can't control every conversation. And when someone like 50 Cent decides to poke the myth, the ripple spreads far beyond the original claim. The real fallout wasn't legal, it wasn't financial. It was psychological. The realization that even the most polished images are vulnerable to doubt. And once doubt enters the chat, it doesn't need evidence to survive. It just needs repetition. This story didn't end with a reveal. It ended with a reminder that fame doesn't erase rumors. That silence doesn't always kill them. And that some secrets, real or imagined, refuse to stay buried once they're spoken out loud. Whether this alleged claim fades into obscurity or resurfaces, again, someday depends on one thing: what replaces it. If this story had you leaning closer to your screen like, hold on, why does this feel too quiet? Then yeah, you felt that correctly, and now it's your turn. Drop a comment and say what everyone else is thinking but pretending not to. Is this just another wild rumor recycled for chaos, or did 50 Cent reopen a chapter hip-hop never wanted flipped? Don't overthink it. Type it and let the comments section decide your fate. Now smash that like button like it just leaked your group chat messages and tried to act innocent. Don't tap it softly. Hit it with conviction. That's how the algorithm knows this conversation matters, and trust me, it hates silence more than celebrities hate unverified questions. If you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. Because stories like this don't come with warning labels. And when the next legacy starts shaking, you'll want front row seats, not recap clips 3 days late. Turn on notifications, so when the next name trends for the wrong reasons, you already know why. And let's be real, this channel isn't for surface-level headlines or polite celebrity worship. We pull apart narratives, question untouchable myths, and talk about the things everyone whispers but nobody wants attached to their name. If the truth makes you uncomfortable, you're probably in the right place. So tell us, should Jay-Z address this, or does silence protect a legacy better than any statement ever could? Was 50 Cent reckless, or calculated like always? Scroll down and let the debate cook. Because here at Fame Blueprint,